Welcome, everybody, to The World is a Mess, episode 37. Actually, this is The World is a Mess, and I just want to steampunk it. Episode 37. I'm here with Daniel Bertazzon from Bellwood, Ontario, Canada, and I'm here in North Hollywood, California, USA. So, how's it going, Daniel?
Hi, I just got home right now. Yep, I'm doing good.
And you said that you had bought, we were talking off camera about the Gabby Petito case.
Yeah,
We talked about it last episode, but the case is not resolved. You got a magazine, I see.
Do you see this?
Yeah, Gabby Petito's Final Hours. What publisher is that?
In Touch.
In Touch? Okay.
Do you see her? She's a good-looking girl.
Well, you got half her face cut off.
Oh, up?
Move it down a little bit. Move it down a little bit. Look at the game. Yeah, I see her. Yeah, she was a good-looking woman. She was a good-looking young woman.
Yeah, Gabby Petito's Final 24 Hours.
So have you read it?
No, I haven't read it yet. Why would someone do this? I mean, she's like...
I mean, a couple of updates since the last time. The last time we had a podcast, episode 36, we talked about this case. They had found a body that they believed to be hers, and they later confirmed that it was hers. I don't know if it was through DNA or dental, but they confirmed it to be hers. And since the last time we did a podcast, they also put a warrant out for the arrest of Brian Laundrie, the former boyfriend and fiance at Gabby Petito. And they also, the warrant for his arrest is not for his murder or her murder, surprisingly. It's for improper use of devices, which is a very vague term, meaning that they charged him with illegal use of a debit card, for like a stolen debit card. Because apparently he had used her debit card, pulled out over $1,000 worth of cash, drove her vehicle, and that's how he was able to pay for gas to drive back from Wyoming to Florida. Used her debit card after she was dead. I don't know how they ascertained this, to drive back to Florida, which is illegal because you're not allowed to use dead person's debit card, or because you can't get a dead person's permission to use it. And it's a simple way to get a warrant for his arrest, because it can often be very hard to prove murder. Apparently, her body was found out in the open. He found out in the open, not being hidden. So it looks like he killed her impulsively and didn't know what to do and just left her there. And that's the reason why she was easily found. I know that they had done an autopsy, but the results of the autopsy are not publicly disclosed. They did the coroner did rule it a homicide. They had a memorial service for Gabby Petito in Long Island, New York, which is where she was from. You can watch that on YouTube. It was live streamed, but you can actually watch a recording of it on YouTube. And that was pretty sad. It was kind of like a memorial service, not technically a funeral, because from what I understand, her body is still held in Wyoming, pending further test. And also, I know that because her body is now evidence in a crime investigation, they don't really want to disturb it. And I know it can be very expensive to ship a body back from Wyoming to New York. So I don't know what the family plans are. What do they plan to cremate her, or is she going to be buried? But yeah, I know that I guess they were lucky they found the body when they did. She disappeared on August the 27th. That was the last time her mom talked to her. Her mom said that when she talked to her on the phone, she said that she was in Grand Teton, Wyoming, which is where her body was found. And other witnesses at the campsite said that they had been arguing over the phone because apparently the two of them only had one phone. And I know that when on August the 12th, I know last episode I said August the 13th, but it was August the 12th when they were stopped by police for domestic violence in Moab, Utah. And you watched the whole hour and a half footage with Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. I think it was revealed that he had threatened to leave her there in the middle of the desert, and threatened to take the vehicle. So, and he was kind of laughing about it, not really taking it seriously that he had gotten stopped by police. He kind of came off as a psychopath to me, and Gabby Petito was very emotional and crying. It is a tragedy. Sadly, these cases are more common than ever. I guess the reason why the media ran with it and turned the case into blew up the case and made the case very famous is because she already had a notable following on Instagram, and she had started a travel vlog on YouTube, although she only uploaded one video. And so, and she was also a very pretty girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, petite, very pretty girl, young and attractive, everything that the media likes to run with a news story. But the story has been getting kind of slowed down on traction because they haven't been able to find Brian Laundrie. His parents said that he went to a National Reserve swamp that was only a few miles away from the home, but they haven't been able to find him, even though they've been searching night and day with drones, with helicopters, with, doing a grid search with troops, with police on the ground. And now Dog the Bounty Hunter is involved because there's now a $30,000 reward for finding Brian Laundrie because there's a warrant out for his arrest. The FBI is involved. The FBI is looking for Brian Laundrie. It is well known that basically he left his cell phone and he left his wallet, but he had taken out close to $1,000 worth of cash from what appears to be Gabby Petito's debit card. And $1,000 is not going to last you very long, but if you live off the land, he was also known as a rigged outdoorsman, that he had lived in the Appalachian Trail and the Appalachian Mountains for about 2 months by himself. Or I guess him and Gabby lived out in the Appalachian Trail for 2 months. So he knows how to live outdoors and survive outdoors for extended periods of time. I don't think he's in the swamp. The question I have, did Brian Laundrie's parents aid and abet as accessories to murder after the fact? And here's what I mean by that is he drove Gabby Petito's van from Wyoming to Northport, Florida without her. And if she wasn't dead, that was technically vehicle theft. And plus he had her debit card. And I don't understand how the parents just like, oh yeah, you came back with your fiance's van without her and drove all the way to Wyoming within like 2 or 3 days. And then apparently, according to neighbors, eyewitnesses that were next door neighbors, said that Brian Laundrie, because he had come home for a couple of days and the family and Brian Laundrie refused to talk to police. They hired a lawyer and they lawyered up and they said, well, you need to talk to our lawyer. We're not going to talk to you. And you usually don't do that unless you're suspicious, unless you have a belief that you might be found guilty for some wrongdoing that you have done. And so then the other thing that's disturbing is apparently Brian Laundrie's parents and Brian Laundrie went to the swamp and dropped him off there and then came back without him with his Mustang. I know his Mustang was impounded for a short time, but then they returned it. And then there was some cryptic messages on Pinterest, which I can imagine why he would use Pinterest, because Pinterest, most people don't communicate on Pinterest, but most people will communicate like on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And he posted a cartoon of like my baby dead as a tombstone, and don't try to find me. I've broken my chains and I'm free now, or something like that. I don't know what that means. It sounds very psychotic. It sounds very narcissistic. But that's the real question. Did Brian Laundrie's parents aid and abet as accessories to murder after the fact? Did they know that he had killed his girlfriend, and then they help him escape? And from what I understand, they were gone for a couple of days. They could have been gone long enough for him to get to the Appalachian Trail, because it was 550 miles away. Another thing is, when he was in Wyoming, he had tried to hitchhike to Jacksonville, Florida. And he originally got in the car with this couple, and he got angry when they told him they were going. No, they weren't going to Jacksonville, Florida. They were going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And so then he got out of the car and got really angry. He had offered $200 for them to drive him to Jacksonville, Florida. So I suggest that the police should start looking at Jacksonville, Florida. They should start looking at the Appalachian Trail. I mean, he's either committed suicide or he's on the run. And I think it's the latter. I think he's on the run, and he is going to try to lay low and live off the land for a while as an outdoorsman. Maybe occasionally, if he needs to buy food supplies or buy water, he can go to a store locally and buy supplies when he needs it. $1,000, if you're living in the woods, can last you several months as far as being able to buy food and supplies. So maybe he's going to try to assume a new identity since he didn't bring his ID or a cell phone. So yeah, since the last time we talked, to summarize, those are the only real developments in the case. Is they identified her body, they've had a memorial service, and there was a warrant out for the arrest of Brian Laundrie, and he hasn't been seen for quite a while, for like the last 2 weeks. So what's your opinion? Have you read up any more on the case since the last time we talked?
No, I heard that they got into an argument, and she was, you said, yeah, also you told me she was crying, and they got into a little fight, and I guess she scratched him or something.
Well, she had some scratches on him, but there was a witness who had called the police that said that they saw him slap her. So the scratch marks may have been defensive on her part, because he apparently was slapping her around.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they were arguing about, he was threatening to leave her in the middle of nowhere. So he's a violent dude, and he seems to be very controlling and possessive, and it's all about him. And he had no empathy towards her family. He refused to talk to her family. I know the police impounded the van that they were driving in, so I don't know what evidence they may have or may have not found. I know that they looked into the debit cards that were used in cross-country travel, and that's probably how they were able to conclude. And also with the coroner's report not publicly being released, but they did an autopsy on Gabby Petito's body, they were able to determine probably the approximate time of death. And they knew that probably when he used the debit cards, she was already dead. And so he had no legal right to use those debit cards. And so this is a common tactic that police use, because sometimes proving, that she accidentally fall and get killed, and did he just ditch her body? But that's probably not likely, knowing his violent history and his history of domestic violence and domestic abuse. And the fact that I got a really bad vibe from him off the body cam footage. He just seemed to laugh about everything and seemed to take everything as a joke. And he definitely lied to the police and said that he had scratched himself on a wire or something. And so he is not a trustworthy guy. And his parents are definitely not trustworthy. I don't think he's dead. I think he's on the run. He's hiding, like I said. And they've been looking for him for weeks now, and they still haven't found him. But now there's the official warrant after his arrest, and Dog the Bounty Hunter is looking for him. I never really watched his show anyway, but I've heard of him.
Yeah, I watched him a little bit. Yeah, he's okay. I don't know why he's famous, but whatever.
Well, he comes off as like this redneck wrestler who turned into a bounty hunter. You know, he dresses and he has his hairstyle kind of like a wrestler, but he's a bounty hunter. But I know that he's been involved in some controversy. There was somebody that committed suicide that he was chasing, or somebody that he harassed. Hold on.
You know, when I think of bounty hunters, I think of Boba Fett, a guy covered in armor. So
I know. I think it's somebody cool, not somebody lame like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
he was involved in a controversy where somebody, I think, committed suicide.
Oh, he was?
Hold on a second. Controversy. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page here. Hold on. I'll share this. It'll make it a little bit more interesting. Share screen. I don't know. Okay, so Dog the Bounty Hunter. I'm going to scroll down here. Controversy. In early October 2007, Chapman, his last name is Chapman. So Dog the Bounty Hunter, or Dwayne Chapman. Anyway, in October 2007, Chapman gained negative attention after a private phone conversation between him and his son, Tucker leaked to the media. The conversation was about the relationship his son was having with a Black woman. During the recording, Chapman could be heard saying, "I don't care if she's a Mexican, a whore, or whatever. It's not because she's Black." And then it's because he used the N-word sometimes. I'm not going to take a chance ever in life of losing everything I've worked for 30 years because some effing N-word heard us say N-word to the Inquirer magazine. So apparently, you know, he's a typical racist redneck. Our career is over. I'm not taking that chance in life, never. You know, so he didn't like that his son was dating a woman of color. Okay, so that. Okay, so he has some allegations of racism. There was another allegation of like, I can't remember. It's not showing up here. Where he was going to Mexico to look for somebody. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dog the Bounty Hunter. He's just a typical redneck country bumpkin. And he knows that this is a big case, so he's just trying to insert himself in the case so that he can resurrect his career. And if, you know, because his show had been canceled and just recently reinstated. But so yeah, hold on. What is this? Stop. There we go. So it is obviously blown up and become an international case because it's being published in magazines in Canada, and it's being published in magazines and TV shows. And there was a German news crew that went to Northport, Florida. I know that there's people protesting Brian Laundrie's parents' house that's where Brian Laundrie lived before he disappeared. And so it is a tragic case. Let's see. Dog the Bounty Hunter, Mexico. Oh, Dog the Bounty Hunter was arrested as suspicion of drug use. Mexican authorities had charged all three with deprivation of liberty. See, being a bounty hunter in the real world, not like Star Wars, is kind of a gray area because you're technically not law enforcement, but you have a license. You're a bail bondsman who has a license to carry weapons, and you have a license. You can track people down who are wanted for violating their bail, for not appearing in court. But some places, bounty hunters are not legal, and that's right. He spent time in a Mexican jail. He spent time in a Mexican jail, but yeah, his allegations of racism, allegations of abuse of civil liberties, abuse of power. He was looking for Andrew Luster. But sorry, but guys, my allergies has been bothering me today. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting kind of convoluted here, but yeah, he's been Dog the Bounty Hunter. I'd have to do more research, but he's been involved in a lot of controversies. I know the most prominent one is there was a recorded phone call where he repeatedly used the N-word, and he didn't like his son dating a woman of color. So a very controversial figure, very cheesy guy, but sometimes, dangerous because he is a bounty hunter and he does carry weapons. So the idea of a bounty hunter in real life is very controversial. I know that in the Old West, they used to use them a lot, but the Old West was largely lawless. So, and a lot of times back then, there was a bounty for somebody dead or alive. But today it's a little bit different. It's usually bail bondsmen, bounty hunters or bail bondsmen, and if somebody fails to appear in court, they go seek out that person because there's a reward for their capture, so that they can appear in court. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything that I have to say about the Gabby Petito case. Is there any other thoughts? Or
no.
Because we got about 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. So you don't have any other thoughts or so you haven't even read that magazine at all.
Well, I read little bits and pieces of it, and it pretty much is the same thing you were telling me. That they were having an argument, and the police stopped them, and she was crying, and he has scratch marks on her, and he was laughing like an idiot, whatever.
Yeah, well, he's, I've known guys like this that are physically violent to their girlfriends, and they're sociopath. They view it as it's all about them. They view the woman as piece of property. Their relationship with that woman is their property, and they tend to be very controlling, possessive, jealous. They don't, from what I understand, she revolved her whole life around him. And they were originally supposed to travel across country, and they were going to go to Oregon. But they, of course, tragedy happened in Wyoming, and it's very suspicious that he left the scene with her vehicle, used her debit card. I'm pretty darn sure, 99% sure that he murdered her. And I hope that he's brought to justice. But I think that his parents may have aided and abetted his escape and gave a diversion, because I think they're searching the wrong area. I think they need to search up closer towards Jacksonville or up closer towards the Appalachian Trail. Because he's used to living off the land for months at a time. He's an outdoorsman, he's a survivalist. And some of the cryptic messages he left on Pinterest also lead me to believe that he knows he's on the run for killing somebody, and he knows that she's dead, because he disappeared before it was officially disclosed that she had been discovered and died.
Like you said, he said he left some weird messages on
on Pinterest. Just look up Brian Laundrie Pinterest.
You said he said something like, "I'm free at last" or something.
He said, "Don't try to look for me. I've broken the chains. I'm free," or something like that.
Yeah, but why? I know he's running, but doesn't he know they're going to catch him? You're going to catch him sooner or later, because he can't do this forever, right?
Well, unless he tries to assume a new identity. I can't find it right now. You'd have to Google it. Anyway, Google it, dude. The world's your oyster. Just do a Google search.
Okay.
But yeah, we only got about 1 minute left. Any final words or thoughts before I wrap up?
Okay, I gotta say, about remember we were talking about the what if episode, dude. I gotta say that what if episode was so good.
We'll talk about that next time. We're out of time. I don't have time to talk about that in depth.
I know that, but I just wanted to say it's really good. Everyone should watch that. It's really good.
Episode 8 of Ultron. Yeah, I decided to dedicate this episode mostly to Gabby Petito. If you want, maybe tomorrow we can do another podcast. But I am all out of time. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, Daniel. This is Steampunk Starraisin. The world is a mess, and I just want to steampunk it. This is episode 37. And this episode was mostly dedicated to the search for Brian Laundrie in the Gabby Petito case. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years of will.